subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get the updates instantaneously. Hello everyone and welcome to MHC Tech Talks. So in today's video, we are going to talk about television resolutions. So today's episode is another fresh episode of Techbytes, and in today's video I am going to tell you about resolutions. We might have heard a lot about 720p, 1080p, 4K displays and 8K displays. So we'll talk about like what are all these displays and how do we calculate these resolutions. We'll talk about some other technical terms related to the televisions and displays. So without wasting any time, let's get. So guys, let's talk about the resolution. So whenever you watch videos on YouTube, you have various options, like you can watch your video in 360p, 720p, then 1080p, 4K videos and so on. So what is this resolution actually? So before getting into resolution, let me tell you about what is pixels. So guys, as you can see the screen, so this is the screen, and if I focus, so there are this LED panel is comprises of n number of LEDs, which are, very much close to each other, and all this single unit of LEDs are called as pixels, and the number of pixels which are there in the screen, that determines the resolution. So now you might be wondering like why it is called as 360p or why it is called as 720p and so on. So I'll clear all your doubts and we'll also try to clear few of the concepts which are there. Guys, let's try to understand the first concept today, which is called as aspect ratio. So aspect ratio is nothing but the ratio of width of the screen, as you can see, the width of the screen to the height of the screen. So this is called as aspect ratio. So for now you can just keep in mind that aspect ratio is nothing but the ratio of width of the television or the screen to height of the screen. It is applicable for all the displays, be it television, laptop screens, desktop screens, your mobile phones, or any screen. But this term is very important because this will help us to define the various resolutions as we move on. So to summarize, aspect ratio is nothing but the ratio of width is to height of the screen. Now let's try to understand like what is 720p. So you usually know, you try to understand like what is 720p, be it the video quality, or if it is your television, if it is older, definitely it would be 720p, because from 720p and onwards we define the television or screen as high definition, and then we slowly move to full HD plus and then ultra HD and so on. So for now we are concentrating on 720p. So the standard aspect ratio for the televisions or for the displays in India is 16:9, which means the width of the television would be 16 units and the height would be 9 units. So this is the aspect ratio, standard aspect ratio which we have. Now you can just imagine the calculation. Now, we were talking about the resolution. So resolution means the number of the pixels which would be there in a screen. So that is called as resolution. So for 720p we have 1280 dots which would be there. The columns which would be there would be 1280, and the number of rows which would be there is 720. Now you can just imagine how we got this calculation. As we are talking about 720p, so 720 into 16/9, so the number which we get would be the number of columns which would be there. So in short, in 720p resolution, the image would be divided into total number of pixels, which would be equal to 720 into 1280. So it would be, the count would be in some millions, and that is how the image would be produced. You can just imagine like this is the image which is being displayed right now on the screen. So this image would be divided into 1280 number of columns. You can just imagine the columns, small columns over here, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 till 1280, and the number of rows which would be there would be 720, as we are talking about 720p. Now we will talk about the next resolution, which is 1080p. So 1080p is, I mean, very much famous because it is full HD and it is the most viewed resolution, because not everyone has the 4K support, because it also consumes a lot of data, be it the video quality or be it the resolution of the screen. So again, the same logic applies here like we did for 720p. So in 180p, the number of rows would be 1080. I mean 1080 would be the number of rows. I mean 1 2 3 4 5 6, and the last one would be 1080. Similarly, to find out the number of columns, again we will put the same formula. The aspect ratio would be 16:9. So 16:9 into 1080. So the number of columns which we will be having comes out to be 1920. So in 1080p resolution, it is as simple as that. The number of pixels would be 1080 into 1920. So you can just imagine, like, there are, if this comprises of image, so you can just imagine it is divided into 1 2 3 4 and so on, and the last pixel over here would be 1920. And similarly, if we talk about the rows, so the first one would start first 1 2 3 4, and the last one would be 1080p. So this is how is the resolution, and that is how you get the enhanced image, because there are you can just check the number of pixels which are there from 720p to 1080p. Now let's move on to 4K. So definitely 4K is the best resolution which we have till now. We also have 8K, but there is not much difference between 4K and 8K, because the number of pixels is so huge that human eye cannot recognize the difference between them. So again, in 4K as well, the actual number of rows and columns are somewhat different. I mean, for 4K, you might be thinking there should be 4000 number of columns, but that is not right. The number of rows which are there for 4K is 2160, and the number of columns which are there is 3840. So ideally, it should be 4000 columns. And similarly, on by applying the formula, you can calculate the number of rows, which comes out to be 2160. But while manufacturing, there are also some tweaks and there are some marketing gimmicks which are there. So that is the reason why we don't have exactly 4000 columns into resolution for 4K. But that is the exact number which we know about the displays is 3840. And the number of rows which are there is 2160. So you can just imagine the huge count which is there in millions, and that is why we have the best resolution for 4K pixels, 4K resolution. So guys, this was all about the various resolutions. We also have 8K, but majorly there are not much of the displays nowadays. You might have heard about QLED, which are having the 8K resolution of the screens. But what I think is 4K is more than enough. Even 1080p resolution is more than enough. So guys, in today's video, we have learned like what is pixels, what is the aspect ratio, how is the resolution set, and what are all the difference between them. So guys, I think you learned something out of this, and hope you got to understand the difference between resolution, like why this name, why do we call it 1080p and so on. So thanks for watching this video, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, so please subscribe our channel. Please hit like on this video because it motivates me to create such videos. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in next one.